Hey, Ant. This is going to be a tough one, huh?
A little bit.
What's up, guys? It's Jack from Atlantis Water Gardens. We are in Lake Apacon, New Jersey. We're actually in the front entrance of the house here. Behind me, we've got the front door, all these windows from the living space, looking out into this little courtyard. Right in the middle, there's an existing water feature. Unfortunately, it's not working real well. We're here to fix that. So somebody started a water feature here. The guys actually got started early, ripping it apart.
It wasn't me.
And there's a couple things going on. It is losing water. It's not really functioning as far as a waterfall goes. It was just kind of pouring behind the rock work. And there's no pump vault. They just kind of buried a pump down in the rocks. It'd be impossible to get to that thing. Like, once it goes bad, there's no getting to it. You have to rip apart the waterfall. We're gonna fix all that. We're actually gonna take this reservoir out, install it properly with a pump vault, giving us a location to put our pump and have our plumbing come out. And then we're gonna rebuild this thing. Up at the top, they have an aquascape stacked slate sphere fire option. I've never used one of these before. This will be a first. So up top, there's a fire ring. It's powered by gas. There's a controller right there. So you'll have water coming out around the outside edge of it, and you'll have fire in the middle. It's gonna be interesting. I wouldn't normally have something like that, like up in the top like that. I think we actually were talking about moving it down and having the water start up behind it. I think that's what we're gonna do. I just don't like the way it's perched up there by itself. It looks just obtrusive. Is that a word, obtrusive?
Intrusive?
I think it's obtrusive.
I can't spell reservoir, so.
The access here is nothing short of terrible. Like, we have the driveway up there, set of stairs, and then we've got this thing right in the middle of it all. So it's gonna involve a lot of handwork. I do have some boulders that I brought with me. I might go grab the spider crane just so we can set the boulders in there, and then we'll do some slate work in between and really fit this into this space. I'm excited because I know what we're starting with, and you know what we're gonna turn it into. Let's get it going. One of the things that we might not have mentioned, and this was just all kinds of pieces of liner overlapping one another. I can see why it was leaking. A situation like this, we're gonna use one piece of liner from the reservoir all the way to the top. There's really no benefit to doing an overlap here because it is pretty small space. But one little surprise we found, tree stump. That's pretty awesome. We can't build on top of the tree stump. I had no idea it was there. And these are like the surprises that always happen on these small projects. But we're gonna take and move that sphere off to the right side, get away from that stump, and then we'll build our proper waterfall coming down back into the reservoir. This is gonna get completely reshaped. We'll bring in some stone dust to help make some shelving here because this soil up here in Lake Apacon is extremely rocky. I mean, you see all these boulders? These probably came from the property when they excavated for the house. So really anywhere you put a shovel is rock on rock on rock. So we're gonna put a good cushion of stone dust in there. We're gonna use our heavy rock fabric underneath anything we do to make sure our liner is protected. And then we'll do this thing the right way.
So you really should just take like one more swing.
Well, that was a lot more work than we were expecting to have to do here.
This was probably the smallest stump we've seen so far. Definitely was super easy to get out. Crane helped a ton.
Now that we've got that out, we can actually excavate for our aqua blocks. We're gonna do a mix of large and smalls here because that's just what the excavation is giving us. We can't dig any deeper. We can get 2 larges in and 2 smalls, which is gonna give us 64 plus 32, which is gonna give us about 100 gallons of storage, plus the vault, so we'll have a little over 100 gallons of storage, which is good. That's plenty for this size waterfall and the sphere, no problem. Hopefully most of the problems are done with. We'll see.
So we just got our rock pad, we got our liner, and then we have our piece of underlayment on top of the liner. We have our vault with 1 extension in on the other side there. We got 2 large aqua blocks, and then we have 2 small ones. The reason we did that is because right where Boley's standing there on top of those 2 small aqua blocks was a tree stump that goes all the way up the side of these stairs here into this little center point here where 2 sets of stairs meet. So there was a big tree root that was in our way from digging any deeper than we already did. So that's why we went with 2 small ones over here, but the 2 in the back that are closest to the vault, we were actually able to dig deep enough to set those 2 large ones in there. I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera, but we're starting to pick up some rain around here. So with that said, with the rain coming through, we're gonna start packing up the job site, getting this place ready for rain because we dug out a lot of dirt and we don't want that stuff turning into mush and mud for us tomorrow, because we still gotta come back tomorrow and build a beautiful waterfall for our homeowners.
Absolutely, man. This is gonna be an awesome project.
But with that said, with the rain coming through, we're gonna start packing up and getting out of here. We'll be back tomorrow.
Man, we got some massive rains last night, but we managed to get our reservoir in. So right now, Bolivar and Brennan are just backfilling with some stone dust. We want a good compactable material in there that's gonna be soft against that fabric and liner. This will all get backfilled on this side, and then they'll uncover everything, making it ready to start building. We get vertical pretty fast here, so we're gonna have to start way out here in this corner with some sort of boulder. At the same time, we've got to retain those stairs. You can see underneath those, that's the gravel that actually is the base for the stairs. We want to make sure we hold all that stuff in and don't let it start eroding. So that's going to involve putting rock work up against there, but still integrating with the water feature. So that's a bit tricky on both sides of this. So we've got staircase both sides, and we got to go pretty vertical. All right, so we've got our sphere test fitted where we want it. This is gonna be a good spot for us. We've got a couple plumbing issues we gotta deal with. So this has a gas line that feeds the fire portion, and there's a wire for the igniter that actually ignites the fire. We also have a pipe that's gonna come in here that's gonna feed all these little venturis here where the water can rain over the sphere. Now, I could just take and run all this stuff behind the rock work and build it in and all that, but the problem is if there's ever a problem, you can't get this out. You have to take the waterfall apart. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go out the back side of the sphere. We're actually gonna drill some holes in it because you won't see anything back here. When it's all rocked in, you won't see any of this portion of the sphere, so we can hide our mechanicals back there. We're gonna take 1.5 inch flex PVC. We'll have 2 pipes. So one's gonna be a chase for our gas and electric, the other's gonna be a chase for the actual pipe that's gonna feed all these venturis. We're gonna run that up around the back side, and over here we're gonna put a spillway that feeds another waterfall coming down this side. So we'll do all our plumbing connections up top with a manifold ball valve so we can kind of control the flow, go into all these different pieces of the water feature. And it also makes it so that things are just neat. When we have to come back here and service this thing, if there's any sort of problem, if the burner goes bad, it can be done by simply taking the top off of the sphere, pulling back through the chase, and then putting your parts back in. So you want to think about those kind of things, especially if you're building something custom where you've got pipes and all that kind of stuff working through the water feature. Give yourself a way to get things in and out in the future. you get into tight spots like this, it's all about the detail work. Right now we're working on doing some stacked slate work, kind of tying things in, making it mesh into both staircases. Look how that stacked slate sphere got tucked in right here next to the staircase. We're having to make sure that we leave room for the water coming out of this to get back down to the system. So there's not a lot of water that comes out of these. It just comes out of these holes and just kind of rains down the side. I'm angling the rocks in so that any splash that happens gets redirected back down along this channel. Now this is all encapsulated in liner here. It'll make its way down through the gravel and return to the reservoir, which is underneath where Bolivar is. Speaking of Bolivar, he is doing some awesome slate work that he's not letting us see at the moment. Thanks, Boli. Look at that waterfall right there. That's going to be so cool, dropping into here, and it's going to change direction and fall right into where our reservoir is. We're tucking lights into spots so that at night this is just going to look incredible looking out the windows of the house. Now in this time frame with this size crew, I can usually be building a very, very large set of cascading waterfalls with probably about 20 tons of huge boulders. This is taking a ton of time. So you can imagine small projects like this, when they're extremely detail oriented, they are expensive. But when you've got this as the only space to work with, what choice do you have? You gotta go for it, right? This is about right. This is the way it usually goes for us. The rain just started up. We are so close to finishing. We're gonna try and wait this out and hopefully button this up. But it's not looking so great. This was an awesome transformation. I mean, we started off with a rock pile. This was a mess out here. These are more difficult water features than you can imagine. When you've got a small space like this, trying to make something look natural in here is just, it racks your brain. You're starting off with hoping you get low enough for a reservoir, and then when that happens, it all just starts to piece together. Plus we had the complication of actually having to work from the top of the driveway. At the end of the day, I think this turned out fantastic. Dawn and Woody absolutely love it. Hope you guys do also. Hit me down in the comments. Let me know what you think. Hit that subscribe button. Come on back. We're here 3 times a week doing this thing. See you on the next one.